Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 203, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fibernymph on Ravelry and Instagram. Today is Thursday, June 2nd, and yeah, it is June, which means for me, as far as I'm concerned, summer is officially here. Meteorological summer starts June 1st, so that's what I always go by, even though the solstice isn't until the 20th. Somewhere around the 20th. My calendar that I'm looking at over here doesn't say. I don't know what day it is this year. It's usually like the 20th or the 21st. So anyway, as far as I'm concerned, it's summer. It feels like summer. It has been so hot and humid. I actually put my air conditioners in last week. I've never had my air conditioners in this early. We have window air conditioners, and then I have one of those floor units that just has the big, like, kind of dryer vent sort of hose that has a thing that goes in the window, you know. I have one of those in my dining room, but then we have window air conditioners in my bedroom and in Emma's bedroom, which help to cool that end of the house off. Never had them in May before, but it's been so hot and humid. We've had to have them in. So anyway, it's summer, y'all. I don't know. Thank you for being here. And yes, it is a Thursday, not a Wednesday. Last week I said I was going to record on Wednesdays to give you guys more time between the podcast going up with the shop preview and then the shop updates on Friday. Well, there's not going to be a shop update this Friday. Mainly because I grossly overestimated how much I was going to get accomplished last weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend here in the United States, which makes it a long weekend, a holiday weekend, and I basically used most of my weekend to get a lot of other things done other than work. But like it was stuff that I needed to get done, like things outside and things around the house. And then Monday I did just take off and I had fun. It was not relaxing fun, but it was fun. And I'll tell you more about that later. But all that to say is I am taking this Friday off from doing a shop update, and we'll resume with shop updates next Friday. And we'll resume with Wednesday recordings next week. So, all of that out of the way. How are you? I hope you're having a good day. I'm having some coffee. It's almost 12:30 in the afternoon because I was working on other stuff all morning. I try to record first thing in the morning, but today I had other things I needed to do. And I'm still in coffee mode today. It's one of those days, even though it's stinking hot. Although it's supposed to rain today, like crazy rain later on, and it feels like the heat is sort of breaking a little bit, which is nice. So, fingers crossed. Alrighty, let's get into things. Actually, nobody new introduced themselves on the 90% Knitting board this week, so I'll just do a blanket hello to everybody who's here. Thank you for watching and taking some time out of your day to spend with me. Yeah, but if you'd like to, please go ahead and introduce yourself on the welcome thread. That would be great, because I always like to read that. Anyway, let's move on to the knitting. I've got bunches to show you, and I've finished objects to show you because, yes, remember last week I talked about those things that I was saving for Stash Dash to start so I could finish them and they would count? Well, I finished them. Matter of fact, I finished them on Friday as soon as Stash Dash started. So, the first one that I finished was my Monster Cow. I'm so happy with how this turned out. Now, it has not been blocked yet, so it is wanting to roll a little bit because it's stockinette. But it's not wanting to roll too badly, amazingly enough. I did this. Okay, this is the Monster Cow, and you know what? I did not put... I did my show notes differently than I usually do because... just because you don't need to know all the reasons behind my insanity. You just don't. Julia Allen is the designer. Okay, so the Monster Cow. I used one of my sets of worsted weight inversibles in the black and undyed color. So the one half skein that you get with an inversible set had the wide black and narrow white stripe, and then the other half skein has the wide white and the narrow black stripe. And then, as you saw last week, I chose to insert this electric pink, this fuchsia, in here for every fourth white stripe. And I did it on both sides. So there's actually three, is there three? Yeah, there are three. Sorry, this is all over the place here. So there's three narrow pink stripes, and then you bring it around, and there's three wide pink stripes. and I grafted everything together right up here after the wide pink stripe. That's where it came back together. And I did a fairly good job. It's just Kitchener. That's all I did. There wasn't anything fancy to really do. And miraculously, everything pretty much lined up. Like my, the decreases and increases where they do that little thing, they're pretty well lined up. Can you see that? I'm fairly impressed with myself. This one's a little tiny bit off, but not by much. And I think actually that may just be because it's not blocked yet. So anyway, I have not tried this on. It's going to be really warm. But once it's blocked, oh my goodness. Okay. It'll stretch a little bit. Yeah, that's not looking like anything right there. Here, I'm going to turn it this way. Yeah, it's a little bit tight. The way the pattern's written, it actually called for more yarn. So I'm not sure if I will double this or not. Like I said, after it's blocked, I probably will have a little bit more length to it, but that's actually choking me right now. At any rate, I just sort of like how it lays like this without it being doubled. And that would fit really nicely inside, an open coat or whatever. But I really love what the pink did, like adding that pink in there. Even though it gave me lots of extra ends to weave in, I think it really turned out cute, and I'm so happy with it. So anyway, that's the Monster Cow by Julia Allen. It was a really fun pattern. If you love doing chevrons like I do, it's a really, really fun pattern, and it flies by. So anyway, that's one finished object and one Stash Dash project. The other one was this hat, which was a charity hat, and this was done out of some leftover worsted weight inversibles that I had on hand. I had made mitts out of this colorway to have as samples as a sample on my display. So I had some leftovers, and I did not have enough to do the whole hat in the inversibles, so I just stuck in this gray. And you know what? It looks fine because I've already messed my hair up doing the cow, so I might as well just keep going for it. I like it kind of rolled up like this. Okay, so there's not a lot of berm, but you can, there's a pearl ridge there where the stockinette starts. Oh my gosh, that looks terrible, Lisa. I hate what tight hats do to my hair. All right, we're not going to worry about that. But anyway, I kind of like how it looks that way. It doesn't, I don't know. It's fine. It's a charity hat. It'll keep somebody's head warm regardless of what it looks like. And hopefully some poor homeless person will say, yes, I'd love that, as opposed to, that's a little too weird for me. I'd rather have a cold head. I don't know. Anyway, so that is also finished, and another Stash Dash project. So I'm chiseling away at my Stash Dash meterage, one little bit at a time. I need to create like a master list. I was thinking I should make like a spreadsheet or something to keep track of my yardage or my meterage. Now, I know, okay, I'm using tags, okay, like in my project pages. This is a little bit of a diversion. So I'm using tags, and whenever you do the search projects thing, I should be able to type in Stash Dash 2016. Oh, okay, it's coming up now. See, when I first put another one of these projects, I've got two more things to show you that I've already finished, and they weren't all coming up. So maybe there's like a little bit of propagating time or something before they all come up. But, well, that's cool. Okay. And it's saying that I have 2,186 yards already in my Stash Dash projects, but those aren't all finished. There's one that I haven't even started yet, which I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. But yeah, there's like way less than 1,000 yards in my Stash Dash total so far, but that's okay because it's only June, early June. We're good. Okay, so those are done. Then in the meantime, I did another hat that you have not seen yet, but it's finished. Right after I finished that last one, I casted this one on. Casted. I hate casted. Cast this one on. And this is some leftover Encore. Okay, Encore worsted. This is a heathered, and this is some sort of print, or I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. These two yarns, literally, this yarn is the yarn that was left over from the second hat I ever made. Ever. And that was like back in 2007. I made my ex a hat out of this, which he did wear a good bit. And then this I used to try to make, it was sort of supposed to just be like a face mat, like a hat with a face, kind of like a balaclava kind of deal. But I didn't have a pattern. I wasn't using a pattern. And the thing that I made just looked like a horribly deformed Muppet face that had been sucked out of its innards. You know, the innards sucked out of it. It was terrible. It didn't actually ever get used for anything. But I had the yarn left over, so I made the ribbing out of this pretty print, big enough to roll it up, and then I used this heathered blue, because there's the blue in there, so it coordinates pretty well. So this will definitely keep somebody's head nice and warm. And I'm not going to put this one on because I don't do these kind of hats. I'm a slouchy hat girl. But anyway, it's another finished hat. And see, doing these nice long foldable brims uses yardage. And that's what we're all about right now. Meterage. So there's the Encore charity hat. Then, as a palette cleanser and just a really fast, instant gratification kind of project, I did a dishcloth, and this is the yarn that's left. This was some Lily's Sugar and Cream that I had in my stash. Matter of fact, I've got, light is really blowing this out today. I've got, I think, maybe two more balls of this green, ombre green color. I don't have the dishcloth here because I left it up at Bill's house. He didn't have any knit dishcloths. Everybody needs some knitted dishcloths. Am I right? I love my knitted dishcloths. I use them all the time. So anyway, it was just a mitered square. I mean, there is a picture of it on my project page for it, but seriously, it's just a mitered square. It's nothing to get super excited about. So, yeah, you can look at it there if you really want to see it. But I cast on, because somebody did ask me, because I posted a picture of it to Instagram, how many stitches I cast on. I cast on 70. So I cast on 70 stitches and then put a stitch marker at after the first 35. And I do my mitered squares so that I knit the first half of the stitches, and then when I get to those last two before the marker, I do a slip, slip, knit, and then slip the marker, and then I do a knit two together, and then do the rest of the way. And then on the next side, I just knit back. So they're garter stitch, but I don't leave an extra stitch in the middle. If I wanted to do that, I would have cast on 71, so that I would have had that one stitch to leave in the middle and run up the diagonal. But I don't usually do that. So anyway, what else? Okay, those are all the things I finished. So that's 4 finished objects in 1 week. I'm pretty happy with that. I did work on some things though. I worked on my vacation shawl. I would really like to get this finished, and there's an extra reason why I would like to get it finished, which I'll tell you about a little bit later, or why I at least want to work on it. Okay, so, I have absolutely no idea where this was when you saw it last. I don't think this yellow stitch marker here actually denotes where I was when you saw it last. I think I have that there, just keeping track of my center stitch. So this is very hard to open up at this point, but this is, and again, I don't have all the information in front of me like I should because I did I'm going to have to look at my project page. I'm sorry. I'm just not that organized this week, I guess. It happens. Okay, so the light color and then this darker tannish color. I don't have the screen up, so I can't tell if you can see what I'm pointing at or not. Those are Katia linen, which is a really nice yarn. It's a DK weight, 53% cotton, 47% linen. And I only have 1 ball of the dark. I have 3 balls of this light. I've gone through almost 2 of them. I have to find the 3rd one because I don't think I pulled that out of my stash whenever I grabbed the yarn to make this because I didn't think I was going to use all 3, but apparently I am. So I need to go find that. And then the pink, this berry kind of color, this is Elspeth Levold Hempathy. Which is also a DK weight, although it's definitely a little bit lighter than the Katia linen. And I think it's just because it's plied a little bit more tightly. But it does definitely knit up a little tighter, which actually is cool. And again, I have another reason why. It's the Katia, or the Hempathy, that I'm very much excited to already be working with, and I'll explain that a little bit later. Anyway, I only have one ball of that and one ball of this dark, so once those are gone, the shawl's going to be done. So, but I don't have a whole lot of either one left. I need to get the screen back so I can see what I'm showing you. I hate recording, but yeah, there's not very much of the Hempathy left at all, and that's maybe about half of the brown left. But the thing is, I'm not using as much of the brown as I am everything else, but that's going to actually change soon in my design on the fly design here. At any rate, I would say this is probably 65% finished. That's my guess at this point. I like how it's turning out, and I think once I soak it, and see, that's the thing, I've never used linen or hemp before, and the Hempathy, actually, just to let you know, is 41% cotton, 34% hemp, 25% rayon. So it's not just hemp. It's got a really nice hand to it, though. It's not super rough. That's the thing about some, like, cottons and linens and hemps and those kind of cellulose fibers. Sometimes they can be kind of rough, and that's not pleasant to wear. My dog's growling. I don't know what she's growling at. Sorry. Anyway, but I really like how the Hempathy is working up. Okay, see, now she's distracting me, and I don't know what's going on. If somebody's going to ring my doorbell. Dogs, honestly. I used to have a friend back in college. He was a little older. He wasn't a traditional aged student. He was a little older. He's like, kids and dogs. That's what he used to say, kids and dogs, because he had experience with both, I guess. I don't have kids at home anymore, but I do have the dog, and I can totally relate to that now. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's the shawl, and that's what I was going to say. I knew I'd get back on track if I babbled long enough. I'm not exactly sure what either the Hempathy or the linen is going to do once it's soaked. I think it's going to soften up and probably do some sort of blooming. That's what I've heard it will do anyway. So I will be very interested to see what that does. And hopefully I will like the effect. Okay, what else? I also worked on my Advanced To Go socks, which you saw last week just at the beginning. And I've lost a stitch. I've lost 2 stitches. Let me put them back on real quick. If you remember last week, I mentioned I was going to make these shorty socks. Well, I think I'm going to make them regular size socks because I'm this far in, and I'm going to do an afterthought heel either way. So like I would probably put my afterthought heel in about here, because then that gives me like about 1 inch of ribbing and then another inch of sock, and then the afterthought heel would go in nicely there, and then this on the way from there up to the end, to the toe, would be the foot. However, I am just absolutely loving these Monopoly stripe colors. I just love them, and I want to make big socks. So I think these are going to end up being full-size socks. Like I said, I have about 300 yards. This was kind of a mutant Frankenball that I had from when a batch went awry in the rescaning process one time. And so I've got plenty of yarn because I rarely ever use 300 yards. Well, I probably use maybe right around 300 yards for a full sock. But I'm going to just keep weighing the ball and make sure that I have enough. It'll be fine. So yeah, that's those socks. And lastly, I know, I'm just buzzing through this stuff at this point. I pulled out a design project. If you remember, I told you last week I pulled out some projects out of hibernation to do for Stash Dash. Well, one of them was this pair of socks. You might remember I started these last year, like last spring. This is my 6 More Weeks colorway, which was the last colorway of the 6-stripe sock club that I did. 6-stripe sock yarn club that I did in 2015, like the end of 2014 into 2015. Yes, that was right. And so I designed, and it's a sport weight. I'm doing it out of a sport weight. Now, which is my traveler base. This sock is called, I'm calling it the Whimsy Socks. This sock will have two different versions. I've got one of each knit up. I didn't bring the other one over because this is the one I'm working on right now. This is the little less whimsy version of the pattern, but the other one is the regular whimsy version, and you will see that eventually as well. But I started the second one. I got the first one of each of them done last year and then never did the second one. So here's the second one. It's coming along, and again, it's sport weight yarn. It's being knit on, I believe these are 2.5, 2.5 US 2.5, which is what, 3 millimeters. So yeah, they knit up pretty quickly. And I love this Traveler Sport Weight. It's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon blend. So it's the same blend as my Bounce Base, but it has more plies. So it's a nice bodied yarn. It's got 3 plies to it. So it's a nice full bodied yarn, and it excellent stitch definition. So anyway, I actually spent this morning, this was what I was doing, which is why I did not record earlier. I spent this morning writing up patterns. I worked on writing up the Whimsy pattern, which is a little bit more involved, and I'm not quite done with it yet because I want to get them out to test knitters. I still need to finish up some details from the Whimsy pattern, just because it has 2 versions in the same pattern, and I need to make sure, and it'll have 2 different sizes too. I need to just make sure everything works out that way before I send it out to my test knitters. And then I also started writing up the pattern for this hat that I showed you guys a few weeks ago. This is as of yet unnamed. I'm not sure what I'm going to name this hat. But I do have the pattern written up for it, and I'm going to send that out to test knitters soon. I have had a couple of people email me or message me on Ravelry asking if I needed test knitters, and I'm always happy to take on new test knitters. I do have a short list of test knitters I've used in the past who were interested in knitting again. It's been a year, though, since I just have to get back in contact with them and see if they're interested. But if any of you guys are interested in being on my list of test knitters, you know, like I said, I'm always willing to send patterns out to people to test knit. It's usually easier if I have more people than fewer people, just because then, you know, because life happens, and I know sometimes things don't, you know, people can't finish in the time frame that I'm looking for, whatever. So I'm happy to have more people than fewer people. At any rate, it's a worsted weight hat. If you want to know the details, message me on Ravelry or email me, fibernymph@gmail.com. That would actually be the best way. But either way will work. So this is 3 different colors of worsted weight, and the socks are sport weight. So, and you need at least like 380-ish yards to do those. Unless you're going to do the bigger size or you want a really high cuff, then you're probably going to need 2 skeins of sport weight. So, okay, so that is that. What else? Blah. Oh, I went through my, I don't know, I'm making random noises today. Blah, blah, blah. I went through my notes for patterns that I've started writing or that I've knit and then never wrote up. I've got at least 5 more hat patterns, 4 of which are other colorwork patterns. So I'm almost kind of thinking maybe I could do them all in a collection or something. That would be kind of fun. I don't know. That'll depend on how quickly I can get them written up and tested, I guess. Because I'd kind of like to be able to release them. But anyway, sooner rather than later is my point there. Okay, that's design talk. On deck. Okay, so here's where you get to see just how deep my crazy runs. Okay. You know, a few weeks ago I mentioned about wanting to knit myself a wedding shawl, right? But I couldn't come up with an idea of what kind of shawl I wanted. I knew I really wasn't going to need a shawl because it's going to be super warm in Florida in August on the beach and everything. So, like, I haven't really been putting a lot of effort into that, even though I know if I'm going to knit a shawl, I need to get started on it so I have enough time to do it. Okay, so fast forward to last week when I got an email from the place that I had ordered what was going to be my wedding dress. Okay, I did not order a traditional wedding gown. I'm getting married on the beach. Okay, first of all, I don't like dresses. I have to put that out there. I don't like dresses for the most part because they don't fit my body shape well. There's very few dresses that look flattering on me. I'm much more of a skirt and top kind of person. Okay. But anyway, I looked online and I found this really, really cute dress that I liked. It was a style that I know looks good on me. It was kind of like a 50s era swing skirt style, shorter dress with the poofy skirt. Well, it didn't have to be poofy at all, depending on what kind of petticoat you put on under it. And a really cute top that was like a sweetheart neckline. That looks good on me. I knew that would be great. So fine, I ordered the dress. Well, the dress was back ordered for up to 60 days. But I thought, okay, I've got 60 days. I've got more than 60 days. I'll be fine. Well, then after a few weeks passed, I thought, maybe I should have a plan B. Well, the dress I ordered was a larger size than what I really thought I would need because based on the measurements for this dress online, I was between sizes. So I erred on the side of ordering the larger one, thinking I could alter it if I needed to bring it in a little bit. So instead I went online. I mean, that one was already ordered, still waiting for it. I went online and I ordered the smaller size, thinking, well, that one's not back ordered, so I could at least get that one. And if it comes in and it looks absolutely horrible on me, I can return that one and cancel the order for the one that was back ordered. Well, so I ordered the second one. A week later, I get an email saying, we are so sorry, but the manufacturer does not have any more of these in stock. They're not making any more, so we've canceled both of your dress orders. I'm like, no. So that launches me back into looking on the websites. And in the meantime, I'd already been looking on all of these dress websites, mainly like retro sites that have the retro kind of dresses and everything, because that's the style I really like in a dress. Couldn't find anything that I really liked, not like color, or if they had something that was the right color, it wasn't the right style. If it was the right style, they didn't have it in my color. If I wanted to wear something with black and white polka dots, I was perfect. That would have been great, but that's not really what I want. So anyway, then I started dipping into the crazy pond, and I thought, you know what? I could sew myself something. And just last week, that's how ironic this is, I said how I don't like sewing clothing. I don't enjoy it though, and I'm not particularly great on it because I try to go fast. But I thought, you know what? I've got plenty of time. I could find a pattern, or I could piece together a couple of patterns to come up with what I want. So that was going to be what I was going to do. I was going to go start searching for fabric, start searching for a pattern. And then Bill and I were talking because I'm not superstitious. Like, he saw the dress that I had ordered. I showed him the picture. We talked about it. He thought it was cute and everything. I could care less if he sees what I'm wearing before the wedding. And he's not superstitious either, so we're good. But anyway, of course, my daughter's like, see, that's why it got canceled, because you showed him the dress. I'm like, yeah, okay. But anyway, so I was talking to him, and I'm like, you know what? I just hate dresses. I said, I wish I could just wear a skirt. He said, so wear a skirt. I'm like, really? Like, you don't think that would be weird? He's like, it's your wedding. Wear whatever you want to wear. I'm like, awesome, because I can do a skirt. And then, as soon as I started thinking skirt, I thought, why can't I just knit myself a skirt? And see, this is where the crazy goes. I'm tumbling down the crazy hole. You hear this? Okay. So I get on Ravelry and I start looking for patterns on there for skirts. Well, I came across one that was super cute. It's called the Maddie dress. It was actually a dress, but I just liked the skirt part, and I figured no problem, I can just do the skirt part. I didn't like it completely enough, but I liked how it's styled, because it was styled wearing a petticoat under it, so it made it fluffy. And I liked that. So I thought, that's kind of cool. Well, then I kept looking, and I found another dress. I do not remember what it was called. It was like the choose your own, or whatever you want it to be, kind of dress or something. The top part was quite plain, but again, the skirt part, it was sort of one of those things where you put together different stitch patterns, like there's segments, and each segment is a different stitch pattern. And it's got garter, like two little garter ridges, in between each stitch pattern, and that's where I'm assuming you do your increases. And I thought, that's super cute. I could do that. I could do something like that. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even need the pattern for that, other than I wanted it just for the guidelines of how to do the increases and everything. And I could just do the skirt part. I could put a petticoat under it if I want to, and life would be grand. So I go to buy that pattern. It's not available because the website that it's hosted on apparently is down, and it's been down. Like, I keep checking, it's not there. Fabulous. So I look at the designer's page on Ravelry, and it turns out that she actually has some skirts that are very similar to the dress in that, you know, just make your own doodad thing. I'm like, perfect, that's all I needed anyway. So I did buy one of the skirt patterns. It is called the Paint Chip skirt. I don't know if that's focusing. It's actually not a very well printed out picture, but you get the idea. Now, what I can tell you is this is not what mine is going to look like. Well, number one, it's not going to be red. It's going to be a very pale blue. Here, I'll show you on the paint chips back here. It's probably going to be like around that color blue, that light blue. That's the yarn I ordered. Hempathy. I ordered Hempathy, but more on that in a minute. So anyway, it's not going to look like this. I don't want that many different patterns in mine. And I want it to have more of a lacy edge, which was on the dress. All I need to know are stitch counts and how to do the increases, which I could probably figure out on my own, but I don't have the brain power to do that. So I'm going to use this pattern as my reference, and I can work in whatever stitch pattern I want because I know how to do math. And I've got lots of stitch dictionaries over there on my shelf. So that's how I'm going to do my wedding skirt. The only thing is I don't have the yarn yet. I just ordered it from Webs a few days ago. It's actually shipped already. I was kind of surprised because sometimes Webs shipping is a little slow. But I ordered Hempathy in that blue, and I ordered way more, I think, than I'm ever going to need. But I can't wait till it gets here because I want to start swatching to see how this Hempathy is actually going to play out and, you know, work in something like that, like once I wet it and soak it. And so anyway, that's my plan. So I will have a skirt. I'm going to sew myself a petticoat out of like probably a creamy kind of color to put underneath it. Like a very pale taupe is my plan. I know how to sew petticoats because I used to make them for Emma. She used to do this Japanese fashion thing. If you've been on the podcast, if you've watched the podcast for a long time, you might remember this when she was back in her Lolita group. And I sewed clothes for her for that a couple of times. That included petticoats. So I can do petticoats. I'm going to make myself a petticoat out of something sort of silky because I can't put like netting underneath hemp or it'll be sticking and it'll look horrible. So there'll be that, and then that just leaves a top because I will need to wear a top. I can see in my brain the kind of top I want to wear. If I cannot find one, I will make one, and I will find, I know there's patterns out there, and even if I have to piece together more than one pattern, I know I can do that. It'll be fine. Everything will work out. My mantra for everything in this wedding and life. So that's my on deck. That was a really long story about on deck because it has way more to do with than just knitting, but that's where I'm at. And so that also kind of bounces us to Stash Dash because, you know, I said I was going to go for the 7,000 meter goal. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that now because I don't know how long it's going to take me to knit this skirt, and the skirt's not going to use up even 2,000 meters. Oh my gosh, it's probably going to maybe take 1,200. I think yardage wise it's going to take maybe 1,200, maybe more. I don't know. We'll see. But I need to focus on that. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe I'm going to do Stash Dash just a little bit more informally, just for myself. I don't know. We'll see. The thing with Stash Dash is you can wait until the very end to declare whatever level you want to be in and then post all your stuff at one time. It's their rules and they let you do that, so I'm good with that. But anyway, once this yarn comes in, that's going to be my major focus, is getting this skirt underway. So everything else is going to kind of take a back seat. Everything else knitting wise anyway, such as my Laura Ayler Atalaya shawl, which did not get any work, but the unofficial Laura Ayler knit along thread is still up because it's still going on, so feel free to post and join in. However, the Mini Mayhem Cal is over. It ended on May 31st, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated in that. I got so many comments from people saying how much they enjoyed that and how much it got them working on all kinds of little projects. And I'm so glad. I love it because that's the whole point of CALs, you know, is to have some fun and just participate and get some things done. I honestly think maybe we will do the Mini Mayhem CAL every May. It seems like a good fit, doesn't it? Mini Mayhem. So if I forget about it next year, somebody remind me because it seems like there would be enough interest to do it again. But anyway, I want to announce winners. I did go ahead and draw winners, and I drew 2 winners from the chatter thread, and then I drew a participation winner from the finished object thread, and then we have the person who earned the most points with their finished objects also. So let me tell you who the winners were from the chatter thread. And the prizes for the chatter thread winners, it's your choice of pattern, any pattern that's giftable through Ravelry up to a $6 limit. Just PM me on Ravelry and let me know what pattern you want and I will gift that to you. So the 2 winners are number 33, and this is from the general Mini Mayhem Cal thread, not the finished object thread. Post number 33, who is Mitt, M-I-T-T, from Norway. Congratulations. And number 4, who is Artist Maybe. That's Mary, and she's from Vancouver. So congratulations, Mitt and Mary. Thank you so much for taking part in the knit along, and please PM me on Ravelry and let me know what pattern you would like me to gift you, and I will get that out to you. So thank you. The participation winner. So now this is from the finished object no chatter thread. We've got 2 prizes coming out of this thread. The first prize I do not have here to show you because the person who has donated this, and I just heard from them last week, that's why this is kind of new news for you. It's a Nitty Naughty, and it's from Danny. I wanted to say her name wrong. I even asked her how you pronounce it. It's Danny and her beau Jim. She said he has DJ Craft Shop, and they make these 3D printed Nitty Naughties. They're little mini Nitty Naughties, and I'm going to insert a picture of it here that she sent me. Isn't that cute? She said they're perfect for winding mini skeins. And so, yeah. That was an awesome prize. And so the participation winner from the Mini Mayhem Cal is going to receive that. And the winner that the random number generator chose for that was number 31, Rose Bob, and that is Rose from the UK. So congratulations, Rose. You're going to get this awesome, cool little Nitty Naughty. So please PM me and let me know that you won, and I will get you connected with Danny, and she will get that shipped out to you. So thank you for participating, and thank you again, Danny, for donating the Nitty Naughty. That was awesome of you. I appreciate it. And then that brings us to the winner who earned the most points from everything that they knit, and that was number 34, and her username is IRYL. I'm not sure if that's Earl, I'm not sure, but it's Nana, N-A-N-A, and I'm assuming that's your name as opposed to a word for grandmother. I don't know. In the United States, Nana is grandmother, like it's a term for grandma. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm misconstruing that. But anyway, and she is from Norway, which makes all 4 of our Mini Mayhem winners international. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, Nana, congratulations. You are winning this set of minis from me. These are actually ones that I haven't had in my shop yet. They're going in the shop next week when I do my next update. And this is a self-striping mini sock yarn sampler. I've put together samplers using 4 of my sock yarn bases. So there will be a skein of self-striping bounce. This is in the pop art variant colorway. This one is bedazzled. Can't really see the sparkle through the crinkly paper, but that's bedazzled, and that's the vintage books colorway. This is Squish, which is the Rockabilly Bride colorway. And the last one is Heavenly, which is my MCN base, and that's Soft Kitty. So you will be getting this little prize package of minis. So congratulations, Mitt. And she did a whole bunch of Afghan squares. Sorry, thinking of words. She did like 45 Afghan squares, and 7 of them used my yarn, so that gave her an extra point. So she won with 50. Oh my gosh, I don't have my piece of paper here because I do have. Here it is. Hang on. 50 some blah, blah, blah points. I don't know what it is with me and the blah 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 today, but 54 points. So yay! Congratulations. I wish I could give everybody prizes, honestly. You guys did so well, and there were some people who had a whole lot of points, and you did a whole lot of knitting, and so many of you made great progress on your like your Afghan blankets and things. Let's see, who else had like high points? Artist, maybe you had 38. Q Mama had 45. Bunnyfish, you had 48 points. Perfect Circle had 40. I think those were the ones that had like the really high point totals. So I wish I could give everybody something, but I can't, unfortunately. Dutch Girl, 63. You had 34 points. Yeah, anyway. Thank you so much for taking part in that. It always makes me happy whenever people really get into the knit-alongs. So anyway, thank you. And that brings it to a close. I am not doing any new 90% knitting knit-alongs right now or craft-alongs or anything. Like I said last week, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I've just got a little bit too much going on to try to organize something like that. But there will be more coming up in the future. I did start a thread last week, as I said I was going to, for you to post knit-alongs that you know about and that you might want to take part in. And let me see. There are some listed. Let's see. Chicky K listed about movie night socks with sticks and twine with Eric, and he's also doing a knit along for the Void shawl. I think that first one is already done. She said it was coming to an end. So you might want to check that out with the Sticks and Twine podcast. Amanda B is also doing Stash Dash. She's also participating in the featured designers knit along with Dramatic Knits. They always have a featured designers knit along going on, I'm pretty sure. And Callie mentioned on a recent episode about doing the, I think she was calling it the redemption cow. Like if you started a cow and then never finished it, you could finish whatever cow projects you have hanging around. And Amanda B said she thinks that starts July 1st, so you might want to look into that. And then there's always Camp Loopy. The Loopy U sponsors Camp Loopy throughout the summer, so you can go to their website and see what that's all about, or their blog. I think that's where Sherry puts the information for that. And then Lisa, who is Life Full of Laugh, she posted about the Summer of Squares Cow, which is running May 27th through August 27th, and that's part of the Sock Yarn Swappers Rav group. So if you check out that, you can check out her, she has the link in her post, so you can check that out. And then we've got, don't forget, there's Stash Dash. Sarah, PA Knitwood mentioned Stash Dash also. And there's Tour de Fleece coming up. And the Ravelinic Games. All this summer. So there's like so many things. Even though those aren't specific knit-alongs per se, like they aren't specific item knit-alongs, they're things that you can participate in, especially with Ravelry, because there's always tons of groups and it's a lot of fun. And I've done them, both of those. I've done Tour de Fleece before. That's for spinning. That happens during the Tour de France. And the Ravelinic Games, which used to be the Ravelympics, but then we got in trouble for calling it that. The Ravelinic Games takes place during the Summer Olympics. And she also mentioned that, you know, she's doing a knit along that her LYS is sponsoring. So don't forget about that. You know, if you guys have LYSs near you, if they're doing knit alongs, those are kind of fun things to do too. So anyway, that's everything knit along oriented. And if you guys know of more knit alongs that you think would be fun or that you're taking part in, please feel free to list them in that thread. I wanted to mention a new podcast, a new to me podcast that I was watching this weekend. It was the Gentle Knitter podcast with Nicole. I think she's only got maybe 3 episodes out. She only podcasts about once a month, I believe. But true to the name of the podcast, she's very gentle sounding, very relaxing. She's a very quiet soul kind of person, which really appeals to me. I told you that about like Diane from the Suburban Stitcher. I always feel that way. And so I just thought it, it was nice that Nicole's that way too. So there's another nice relaxing podcast you can watch. Because I feel like I'm the exact opposite of that in so many ways. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that, and I'll try to link that in the show notes as well. Lastly, in the 90% part, that brings us to the questions thread. Okay, so I told you I was going to put up a thread in the 90% knitting group called Do You Have Questions? And so this is kind of like other people have their Ask Me Anything or whatever, that kind of thread. And I am happy to answer questions as long as, they're appropriate or whatever. But anyway, I thought I would start and do those now. And I'm going to do these out of order. There are 3 questions. I am going to answer all 3 of them this week. But the one kind of goes along with 10%, which is coming up next in the podcast. And the other 2 are more business related, Fiber Dye Works related. So I'm going to do the 10% one first. And that was from Kristen93. And she said, how's the motorcycle riding coming along? She said that she was learning to ride back in her teens and early 20s, but she never got a chance to take her test or anything. So anyway, how is the motorcycle riding coming along? Well, it's coming. I'd been on a hiatus from it actually for a little over a month, because the last time I had ridden was before we went on vacation. And then when we got back from vacation, and we were just super busy. Like I had to dive back into work, and then we started diving into the wedding planning stuff, and there was just always something else going on, and then the weather wasn't cooperating when we did have time to ride. So I did not actually get to go out and ride again until this past Monday, Memorial Day, which was one of the things I did for this weekend. It's coming. Every time I go out, I get a little bit more comfortable with things, and at the same time, I always come up with at least one more thing that I feel really inept at. I did dump the bike one time on Monday. Again, I was 2 miles from, we're 2 miles from home. I don't know what it is, but this time it was, we were at a T in the road, and I had to make a right-hand turn, which right-hand turns I'm never very good at. I always go wide, and so I was trying to not go wide, but we were at a stop sign and on a grade. Now, I mean, it wasn't like a super steep grade, but it was a grade, and I'm really hesitant about starting on grades, just like whenever you're in a standard car and you're first learning. Like, I can do it in a car fine now, but on the bike, I need practice. So anyway, we're there at the stop sign, and he was in front of me. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, yes. So he went, and then I started to go, and I realized there was a pickup truck that pulled up right behind me. And I mean, he wasn't like right on my back tire or anything, but I knew he was back there, and I know I drift back as I start to go, and it was making me a nervous wreck. And I panicked. And it took me a long time. Matter of fact, I kept looking back at him. I was hoping maybe he would just get annoyed and go around me and go, but he didn't. And so I finally went, but I gave it too much gas, and like I didn't have control because I was trying to turn at the same time, and I went straight across the road and into a bank and fell on the ground, and I was fine. I wasn't hurt because I was, again, going like 0 miles an hour practically. And I was so frustrated. And the guy pulled up in the pickup truck. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. And Bill comes back. He's like, he knew I was okay because, we can talk, and the headphones and everything, and the microphones and the headsets. It was just so frustrating. So anyway, I was like, I'm done. I'm hot. I'm tired. And it was very, very hot. And I was in full gear. That's why, because I wrecked. But I'm pretty much always in full gear. So anyway, he's like, we're 2 miles from home. We can do this. You can do this. Take your time. It'll be fine. And I was fine the whole rest of the way home. And then we got back, and he's like, I want you to do something. I'm like, what? He's like, we're going to go in the backyard, and I want you to practice coming up the hill, stopping and starting. Now, his backyard is much like mine. If you've ever seen pictures of mine, it's on a hill. And I couldn't argue with him because I knew I needed to practice. I didn't want to do it in the grass, but I was on a trail bike, so I knew it was capable, and I knew he wouldn't be asking me to do something that I wasn't capable of, the bike wasn't capable of doing. So we went down there, and I did it. I can't remember if I dumped the bike then or not. I don't think I did. I don't remember. but he made me do it like 3 different times, like halfway down the hill and back up, halfway down the hill and back up, then the whole way down the hill and back up. And by the time I got down there, I may have fallen down at the bottom of the hill. I don't remember now. I was in tears. I was so frustrated and so tired, and it wasn't pretty, but I did it, you know. And then I was over there last evening for a little while, and as soon as I got there, he's like, let's go out in the backyard. I want you to practice again. And it was the last thing I felt like doing, but it was actually good because I dumped the bike as soon as I got on. I wasn't even doing anything, and I mean, I know what I did wrong now, but that's a whole different issue. See, that's the thing. I get one thing down and then I have another issue. But anyway, he showed me what I needed to do. And my biggest problem was I was afraid to give it gas. I was really tentative because I'm like afraid I'm going to pop a wheelie and fall off or something. And he explained what I needed to do, and I really got much better at it. So hopefully that's one problem that I'm not going to have anymore. It's just, you know, it's a process. So it's coming along. I feel every time I go out, I do feel like I'm doing a little bit better, but I'm not super confident yet. But I'm getting there. So that's how the motorcycle stuff's going. That was like a long explanation. Anyway, let me move on to the other 2 questions. Memoir. Okay, Memoir. That's her username, is Memoir. She said she's been watching for a while and she always enjoys my show. She said she feels the same way as I do about Diane, that I'm calming. So thank you for that, because I don't feel like I'm calming at all. But anyway, she's interested in my yarns. How does one go about purchasing fingering to start? Some of my colorways are delightful. Well, thank you, Barbara. That's her name. She signed it, Barbara. So anyway, thank you. I'm so glad you like my colorways. Basically, I sell from my shop, which is a Big Cartel shop. So if you go to fibronymphdyworks.bigcartel.com, you will find what I have in stock. There's always something in stock. It varies, and when I do updates, then there's a little bit more. But that would be the best way to do it. If you're looking for a specific colorway, I'm always happy to do special orders. So you can email me at fibronymph@gmail.com, and I'm happy to do special orders. And also, I do shows occasionally. Like, I will be at SSK in July in Tennessee. So if you're going to that, you'll see me there. But otherwise, mainly it's my shop, my online shop. I do also sell through the Loopy U. She carries a lot of my yarn, and it's all fingering weight. Well, that's not the true. She also carries some of my lace weight and some of my fiber, but she carries a lot of my fingering weight yarns as well. So you can always look at the Loopy U to see what they have in stock. I do have a few other small LYSs around the country that carry my yarn from time to time. If you have an LYS that you'd like to see carry my yarn, have them contact me and I'd be happy to talk to them. So anyway, I hope that answers that question. And lastly, Layla F., who is Layla from, I'm not sure what flag that is, and it's not actually showing the whole thing. Let's see. From Norway. Okay, I had to click. Layla asks, where is it you find the most of your inspiration when it comes to coming up with new colorways? Well, thank you for the question. It's always a hard one for me to answer, though, because my inspiration can come from almost anywhere. I would say, by and large, my biggest source of inspiration usually is from nature. I have a lot of colorways that were inspired by water, by flowers, by the sky, by the seasons, things like that. And then other colorways are a lot of like kind of pop art or not pop art, but pop culture kind of things, I would say, like my Soft Kitty colorway and Sheldon's Challenge and, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, Fruit Loops. I mean, that's a cereal, but that's sort of, a contemporary culture kind of thing. Advanced to Go is a Monopoly color, so things like that. And then other colorways aren't actually inspired by something specific. It's the colors themselves that inspire me. So I put the colors together and then have to figure out what to call the colorway because it wasn't inspired by something specific. Those are a little bit harder to name, but sometimes they're some of my better colorways too because the colors just... I try to think then what they evoke in me. And a lot of times those end up being named nature-y kind of things because, again, that's the two kind of work together. You know, I think I'm drawn to those colors and putting those kind of colors together because I really enjoy nature and the colors of nature. And so that's what the one drives the other. It's kind of like a symbiotic relationship, if you will, for that. So anyway, thank you for the question, and I hope that answered it adequately. If you have a question for me, whether it's about silly stuff I'm doing in life or any less stuff I'm doing in life or something, you know, yarny, Fiber Nymph Dyeworksy related, please feel free to post it in that thread and I will answer it on an upcoming podcast. Okay, let's move on to the rest of 10%. Most of it I've already talked about, to tell you the truth. Nothing else going on in the wedding planning other than trying to get the dress thing, which is now the skirt thing, underway. Memorial Day weekend, we had a lot of fun. Emma was still home. She left on Sunday morning, so she's back at school now. She's working there for the summer. But basically, I spent Friday afternoon and most of the morning Saturday getting the garden ready. Bill and I were out there for 4 hours tilling Saturday morning. It's amazing how quickly nature just reclaims her own because, you know, last year was a horrible garden year because I didn't have it tilled properly, and now this year it took us forever to get it ready. But it is ready to plant. I just haven't had time to put anything in. But it's ready. And then, you know, I told you about the motorcycle shenanigans. We did go bicycling actually the Monday morning when it was still cool. That was really nice. I love bicycling. It's just so relaxing as opposed to motorcycling, which is stressful. I know some people say being on a motorcycle is really relaxing. I'm not there yet. Being on a bicycle, though, is quite relaxing for me. I love it. Reading-wise, I'm still listening to What Einstein Told His Cook by Robert Wolke, and I'm loving it. There's just so much trivia in there, cooking trivia, you know, cooking science. It's just a lot of fun. So anyway, that is it for 10%. Shop news. As I already said, there is not going to be a shop update this Friday due to the holiday and also due to the fact I've got some personnel changes going on, my Yarny helpers. My one helper, Heather, who I thought I was going to have through the end of summer before she went back to school, got a different job for the summer, like a full-time job, internship / job, but it's paying and it's full-time for her. So I was very happy for her, but I lost her about 3 months prior to when I thought I was going to, which sort of, you know, made things a little difficult for me, just catching up and figuring out how I was going to manage with all of the rescaling that she was doing. As it turns out, her mother was interested in getting some part-time hours doing this. So it worked out. It's just there's a learning curve. You know, it's not like this is super difficult work, but there's definitely, you know, a period of figuring out how to do everything and work the equipment and, you know, do the process and everything. So I'm starting to train her, and I'm sure it'll be fine, and I hope that she likes it enough to stick with it for me. But anyway, that was another reason for delaying the next update until next week. So it will be on Friday, June 10th at 7 p.m. next week. I wanted to also mention, if you look at the self-striping listings in the shop, I've started doing something new. In the heading, there's now a number in parentheses. So let's say it's a listing for Advanced to Go. You'll see an 8 in parentheses, and that means there's 8 stripes in that colorway. Because I realize there's really no way, unless you know what the colorway is, like if you know what Advanced to Go is, you know it's an 8-stripe colorway, but if you don't, and you're not familiar enough with my colorways, there's really no way to know how many stripes you're looking at. So without reading the write-up, like the text part tells you how many stripes, but just by looking at the heading, you don't know. So I've started putting that number in parentheses, like for instance, let's see, I'll read you one just so you know what I'm talking about. So Mystery and Magic Self-Striping Sock, in parentheses after that it says number 7, and then it tells you about the base. It just makes it really easy for you to know how many stripes are in the colorway that listing is for. So let's see, what else? The May sock blanks for the Sock Blank Club got shipped out last Saturday. I know they've started to arrive. I hope everybody's enjoying them. I've gotten positive feedback so far. The June ones are coming up, and I'm very excited to be doing what I'm going to be doing for June. So hopefully you will like that too. I will do another round of Sock Blank Club later this year if there is enough interest. Some people have asked me, so I just want to let you know that I'm considering doing that again. It won't be till fall at the earliest though, so Anyway, lastly, I just wanted to mention that it is June now, which means we're coming up on the end of the second quarter of the year, which means in the Fibernymph Dye Works group, the second quarter finished object drawing, you have the rest of June to enter that. So that means if you've knit or crocheted or somehow crafted, wove, whatever, anything with Fibernymph Dye Works yarn or spun Fibernymph Dye Works fiber, and you finished that in this quarter, so April, May, or June. It doesn't have to be started in this quarter. It could have been started prior, but if you finished it in April, May, or June, it qualifies to be put in that finished object thread. And at the end of June, I will close that thread, and the first podcast in July, I will do a drawing, and that's always for a $25 gift certificate for the shop. So you've still got most of this month left. Feel free to post any of your Fibernymph Dye Works projects. For that one, individual Afghan squares do not count. I don't have that specified in the rules. I'm going to have to add that. I just thought of that though, because I did allow it for the Mini Mayhem cow. But it has to be an actual finished project in the Fibernymph Dye Works finished object thread. So anyway, okay, I believe that is everything I have for you this week. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're surviving the heat if it's hot there. I know some people are getting a lot of rain. Texas seems to have some floody areas, which is not good. I hope you guys are all okay. Anyway, please hang in there, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.